that.
I clicked it.
It's live then.
Hey everybody, Ethan here from WordTech, back with another video for you guys. Welcome to WordCast number 36 this time around. We got a lot of interesting news for you guys. In Intel 8700K official stuff, we talked about the rumors and stuff last week. 1070 Ti rumors and maybe a little details, as well as the new Blackberry Motion and obviously a million other things that are going around this time.
Project Loon.
Project Loon or Loom? Is it like Looney? Copyright. I'm not going to say that, but
Toonie Loons?
Toonie Loons. Is it like Toonie Loons?
No.
Is that what Project Loom is? I can't talk today, and I am sorry.
And it is Project Loon.
Alien Technology says, "What's up, my dudes?" You know, a lot of stuff. It's going to be a pretty busy week. So, yeah, hopefully Felipe shows up for a better food question this week than last week, though. I tried to get a hold of him. He better show up with an important food question. But anyway.
Yeah, this is like the one consistent segment we have on this podcast.
It's true. It's true.
It's literally news, food question.
It might, the other consistent segment might be me saying, "I'm sorry, I failed."
Yeah.
So, guys, I'm sorry. Anybody that follows the channel closely, you may have noticed that there was no video Monday, and there was no video Tuesday, and there was a video today at 7 a.m., which is off schedule. I'm sorry.
There was no video on a Tuesday?
There was no video on a Tuesday this time. So I am sorry to all the followers. I've been super busy, working really hard. I'm constantly trying to get videos out, and I just didn't quite have enough time to get Monday's video out on time. And then Monday's usually when I film blips for Tuesday, so I didn't have time to do that because I was working on Monday's video on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up about that. I am sorry about that, but things should be back on track next week. And you guys should still see a Tech News Roundup from me tomorrow, although the scheduling of that is changing to the evening rather than the morning so that I can do a summary of news that we talked about on this show in specific rather than filming it on Tuesdays and having it be a little awkward because something big breaks and I'm talking about like the rumors of it the day after it breaks. So videos... New schedule to make it really fast for you guys. Last thing I'll say about the channel is new schedule will be Mondays, project or review video at 7 a.m. On all three of our video locations, although YouTube is the best one to follow us. Tuesdays, 7 a.m. will be an episode of Blips. Wednesdays, 9 p.m. like we are right now will be WordCast. Thursdays in the evening, I can't guarantee a time, but probably... I'd say around like 7 or 8 p.m. is Pacific time is when the Tech News Roundup will be. And then Friday at 7 a.m. you should see another video. Anyway, that's out of the way. So Alien Technology says, what did you guys think of the Oculus event today? I think it looks cool. Honestly, we didn't watch it, so we don't know all of the information. But I do know what you're talking about, Oculus Go. It looks interesting.
They also did officially drop the price of the Rift to $399 permanently, no longer a sale.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know. So I think it looks cool. $199 VR headset's cool. VR's kind of died off though, and I feel like to bring it to the mainstream, we don't necessarily need it to be cheaper and standalone. I think we need it to be better experience-wise first. That's my personal opinion. Both need to happen.
Yeah.
But I think the first step is better realism, higher quality screens, better tracking, better face or hand tracking and arm tracking.
Here's what I'll say as to what I think it needs. I do think that standalone headsets are the way to go, and the reason
at some point definitely.
The reason being, no matter how good it is, until Apple users are interested, it's not going to go mainstream.
And there's some truth to that. Yeah, there's some truth to that.
And so by making it standalone, making it no longer require
it's a good move.
Phone and the headset,
yeah. Like I'm not saying like I have
giving
complaints.
yourself potential.
Right. Like I'm not saying I have complaints.
Yeah.
I'm more so saying that I'm more interested in the other aspect of the realism aspect.
I think
rather
that for
than this.
Mainstream augmented reality
is going to be the end all.
Popular.
Yeah.
Even Apple recently talked
it's
about.
It's going to be the PC gamer crowd is what's going to be into the high end VR.
And even more importantly, I think it's going to be things like VR-cades.
I think that'll be a thing too, because if you can get a really realistic experience, like you get your own little room with tracking, movement, and everything, or you have one of the Omni pads or whatever they're called, the omnidirectional treadmills, basically, like that kind of setup is going to be the ultimate for VR. And so I would go to an arcade, pay $100 to get like say like I don't know how long would you say like a 6-hour session or something like that with like an hour break or something like that.
There's also this really cool experience. It's in a weird state for it. It's in like Utah or Ohio or something. But
Something
it's this
not that techy.
It's this entire giant area built out custom for this VR adventure.
Right.
So you actually walk around.
That's cool.
In this experience.
Okay.
And it's got objects that you can pick up that are tracked.
Okay.
That are mapped. So like there's one that like you'll pick up something that is in the general similar shape to the torch that you're picking up in game.
Right. Okay.
So what they can do is they can build out kind of like a bare bones structure and then change up the environment for different things.
That
so
makes
they can
sense.
give you these different experiences. And that actually ties into something that I've wanted for a while, which is VR laser tag.
I think that would be excellent. That'd be really cool.
Semi-modular walls that you can easily change around.
Uh-huh.
And the idea being that you can have, say, 2 or 3 set structures that you can shift between.
Uh-huh.
And then just have the visuals change depending on the structure that you have it on. So that you can have like a sci-fi environment and then change up the walls and then have a forest environment. And then change up the walls and then have like a city environment, that type of thing.
I like that.
That way you can get more than just, hey, there's some black walls with some red or green lights.
I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. Also, we have a comment here. Justin says that you look cute with your long sleeve shirt.
Thank you, Justin.
How nice of Justin. So anyway, you want to move on to some other news this time?
Some news.
We just wanted to address that comment. So
Navi.
PC section here, guys. We have a pretty large PC section, so we actually labeled the section for once. I mean, and by that I mean and we never do, though. So
yeah,
there's a lot of categorization here.
Yeah, what we'll do is sometimes we'll put them in...
We're impressively organized this time is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll put them in an order, but just not label that order.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that happens. I'm going to start labeling it, though. Okay. I'm going to start putting a little more effort, especially because I won't be filming on Tuesdays now, because I'll be filming Tech News Roundup on Thursdays. I got time to work on the doc and the website and stuff. Okay.
I like it.
So it looks like Navi 2018. We have 2 sources for this. One is from WCCF Tech, by the way. So the second source is from WCCF Tech, a little bit more like leak/rumor stuff. So this isn't necessarily guaranteed. This is all, still speculative. But it's looking like we might see Navi in July or August of next year. So fairly soon, about a year after Vega is what that would put it, which is, generally the time frame. And Navi looks like it might finally be the catch-up, or maybe part way to the catch-up that they need to go up against NVIDIA. And
isn't AMD kind of claiming that that Navi is supposed to be for GPUs what Ryzen was for CPUs?
Yeah, I'll get to that.
Okay.
Yes, correct. So yeah. Well, actually, even more so than what Ryzen was, because Ryzen was singular die.
Yeah.
Threadripper is more common, or more direct comparison. But I think AMD's trying to do things that are a little bit more risky and a little bit more innovative this time, but a little bit more realistically innovative. They've always tried to push the boundaries, but they choose the wrong things a lot of times,
Yeah.
Like choosing HBM too early was not a good idea. Let's be realistic. When they went from Crossfire with the bridge over to Crossfire through the PCI Express link, that caused some weird issues, especially on PCI Express 2.0 systems. They go to things a little too early sometimes, or don't always have the right execution. This looks like it's going to be the proper execution, especially because they've done it before. So like I said, Navi might be a multi-die setup like Threadripper instead of a singular monolithic die. So, and I mean, AMD's CCXs are still it's still technically one die, but it's the same sort of concept there too, is having chunks of cores linked together, right? And Navi looks like it might be that way. The technical term for it is MCM, which stands for I forgot actually what it stands for exactly. Let me find it, guys. Multi-chip module die, which is basically you have different modules instead of a single monolithic die. And here, I'll go ahead and pull up a screen cap of that for you guys. Again, all credit goes to WCCF Tech for this, but if you see this here, so this is what a singular monolithic GPU would look like, versus over here you've got different GPU modules, and this allows them to have better yields. So that's one of the main advantages, as well as potentially better performance, potentially better overclocking, better heat dissipation, less issues. There's a lot of things that come from this.
Long-term switch out modules for different things. So let's say if if they wanted to start doing AI-based chips, they could have like couple GPU modules and a couple VPU or whatever they're called for tensor processors.
Tensor processors, so TPUs. They call them TPUs.
So they could do things like that, or just like with the APUs that they're working on for the Zen-based APUs, how it's going to just be that they take one of the 4-core modules out and then throw in a GPU module.
Yeah, and I mean that's a possible thing. So I mean it's I think this whole modular architecture is the next innovation in computing, and I like to see AMD pushing it, and I also like to see the fact that Intel makes fun of it, and Nvidia goes, no, that's about right. We're gonna start working on that too. Yeah, because we talked about, I think it was 3 or 4 WordCasts ago, we talked about how Nvidia is planning to do multi-die design rather than an MCM design rather than doing a singular monolithic die. They were even talking about it. So, I mean, they're registering that, again, MCM multi-chip module is a better approach. Yeah. Now, one of the main advantages to this is better yields. So the multi-chip module, or MCM as I'll call it from now on, gives them better yields because the larger the die on a singular silicon wafer that you have to cut out, the lower the yields for several reasons. One of those reasons being simply you're cutting out more of the wafer. That given section of the wafer is more likely to have an error, right? Yeah. So there's the probability there, but also the fact that the wafers are circles, and the more squares that you can cut out of that circular wafer, the smaller the squares, the more squares you have, because you're not wasting as much, right? Does that make sense? So it allows them to have better yields. Some of the math estimated by WCCF Tech, again, somewhat speculative, but it was something like a 13 or 14% yields improvement, which is massive for a company, that's shipping this many products. And it's likely that this will work even better for GPUs because GPUs are already a parallelized design. They already have hundreds to thousands of cores. So it's something that would be even easier than CPUs, where you wouldn't have to have necessarily like an interlinked infinity fabric type thing to make them function properly. Yeah.
Which, if they do have something like infinity fabric, though, if the clock is based off of the VRAM,
then
it would be like it's not even there. Yeah, it's going to be that fast, especially if they use HBM.
Yeah, HBM would just it wouldn't even care. So anyway, the last thing is, so this is an estimate, is that it's going to be on a 7 nanometer platform. I'm assuming a 7 nanometer with FinFETs, meaning it's like they're calling it a 7 nanometer, but it's a 7 nanometer FinFET, meaning it's more like a 12 nanometer with FinFETs to make it function more similarly to the way a 7 nanometer would. So again, speculative, but it looks really interesting, and I am hoping Navi can be the comeback that RTG, Radiant Technologies Group, needs, because we need more competition out there. Again, I'm more happy with NVIDIA than Intel when it comes to innovation on their own, but we still want competition across the spectrum, and I hope that AMD is able to bring that back on the high end and on the mid-range stuff. Yeah.
Because as nice as NVIDIA has been relative to other companies when it comes to competition or lack of competition, we even see with things like the fact that they're holding off on Volta for consumer, because it's like it's selling really well for business or for the like super high end clients, and not for it's not really needed for consumers because there's no one to beat.
Makes sense. Yeah. I want to address a comment really quick before we move to the next topic. So, Alien Technology is asking, he doesn't want to interrupt. No worries. We're open to comments and questions. He wants to know of a good Wi-Fi/Bluetooth add-on for his PC. Really what I would say is just look for a USB-based one that is from a reputable brand. They do make some that have cables that come out of them so that you can like put them on top of your computer or something if you don't want to take up multiple USB spots, because some of them are fairly large, or they make ones that just stick out of a standard USB slot. But honestly, from any like reputable networking company, so Asus, Linksys, Netgear, TP-Link, those, you'll probably be fine with any of them. Just look for one that supports Wi-Fi AC, just so that you have the most modern technology. And if you can, Bluetooth 4.1 or 4.2. I don't know if you can get 5 support yet. No phones even have 5 yet, do they?
Phones have 5. Okay. So as of right now, there's 3 phones that have 5, but no accessories.
Okay, well, if you can find a Bluetooth 5.0 compatible one, you'd be even better when it comes to future-proofing. Speaking of the motherboard, you said MSI Ryzen Mortar Arctic. I almost bought that motherboard, so good choice there, by the way, on the board.
This one doesn't have one of the M.2 Wi-Fi slots, does it?
No, it does not have the M.2 Wi-Fi. Yeah, it would have to be a USB-based one, as far as I understand. So, yeah, but I would just recommend, just anything from a reputable brand. They're not too expensive, Just don't go buy one from Best Buy because you'll overpay for it there. Check Amazon or Newegg. That's my recommendation. So, yeah, that actually reminds me, my plans have changed when it comes to my workstation, too, because I'm doing things differently. So I'm actually upgrading to an 8-core instead of my 6-core, but I'm keeping my current motherboard instead of going to Threadripper or going with a larger case. So that's interesting. I consider going to that motherboard because it supports overclocking, but I don't know if I might just wait till the stuff comes out next year. Anyway, so this is one that I added in here that I don't think you've heard about. The MSI Windows 10 0-day fixes, or not Microsoft. What I said MSI, I was talking about MSI. Microsoft Windows 10 0-day bug fixes. Some pretty massive 0-day vulnerabilities were released. So Patch Tuesday fixed 62 security issues, which is high even for Patch Tuesday. Yeah. So I mean, that's quite a bit there. So basically, there was a DNS issue that allowed full control of the system. So the DNS API.dll got updated because of this issue. And basically what would happen is an attacker could get the system to accidentally connect to a malicious DNS server instead of the proper DNS server. This is why I always recommend manually setting your DNS server address. But anyway, and then there was a compromise in there, really detailed, I'm not going to get into every detail of it, that allowed full control over the entire system.
Yeah.
So that was bad. Another thing, so there's 2 main ones that I wanted to talk about here that were actual big security vulnerabilities. Office was compromised in a sense. So booby-trapped Office documents, once opened, could actually get full system access. Like, people have like fake Office documents all the time and stuff like that. No, these are Office documents, but they're also booby traps, and they use the flaw with a faulty memory issue related to Office that would allow them to, again, take full control of the system. Not going to get into every detail of those, but not good. Not good.
Yeah. I guess it's a good thing I don't use Office.
Yeah, I don't really use Office either.
Thank you, Google.
Thank you, Google Docs. All right.
Yeah.
Let's see, we are rapid firing these. We have a lot, though.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, so a new motherboard is available for Threadripper. A budget Threadripper motherboard, which sounds funny, but it's not like $100. We don't mean really budget. Budget for Threadripper, yeah.
I'm buying $1,000 CPU. I can only spend $100 on my motherboard. Gotta make it work somehow.
I mean, what if you're one of those guys that has, something like really modern hardware with lots of storage space and a $400 case and a 660 Ti? Wait. That's me.
I mean, hey, if there was like a $100 motherboard for Threadripper, that'd probably get more people to go to Threadripper.
That's true. That is true.
Because the thing about it, if your budget was like $1,100 for CPU and motherboard, you could either get a really nice motherboard and like a $500 CPU,
or you could get a Threadripper 16-core and a cheap motherboard. Yeah, and then upgrade the board later or whatever. And by the way, guys, yes, I have a 660 Ti, but that's just on my workstation, so I don't need any GPU performance. I have a 1070 to game on.
Nope.
So I know people were... I was worried people were going to actually mention something about that. Nobody has yet, surprisingly. Okay, so it's called the MSI X399 SLI Plus. It's a budget Threadripper motherboard. Again, budget. Estimated to be between $250 and $300. Budget. 200 would really hit the mark, though. In fact, if this comes out for 200, I might rethink my Threadripper plans, to be completely honest. Yeah. I can never decide what to do, on my system. Right?
Until 3 weeks after you've ordered it, you're never sure.
Yes, this is 100% correct. Yes, 3 weeks is a good time frame. Yeah. Anyway, so it still has a lot of the premium features that you would see on higher-end motherboards, like steel PCI E-slots, so reinforced PCI E-slots, which is nice. 3 NVMe M.2 SSDs. We're seeing that to be common on every Threadripper motherboard so far. I wonder if that's almost like a requirement. Now, although we haven't seen any micro ATX Threadripper motherboards, because TR4, the socket's so huge, I imagine it might never exist. if those do, it'd be interesting to see if they can fit NVMe SSDs. What I want Asus to do, I want them to come out with a TR4 socket Threadripper micro ATX motherboard that has vertical standing M.2 SSDs, 3 of them, so that they still have room for all the circuitry and all the SATA ports and all that. It'd be funny just to fit as much stuff as they could on a micro ATX board.
I'm still waiting for a ITX board
TR4
for Threadripper. Yeah, that has multiple M.2 slots.
Yeah, well, I was talking about micro ATX, same thing,
I know.
Just not ITX. Yeah,
ITX.
Well, I mean ITX, Threadripper takes up literally like 30% of the board. The socket takes up like 30 to 40% of the board. I don't even know if it's possible.
Can I get a micro ITX? I want my processor to be the
mini
motherboard.
STX.
I want my processor to be the motherboard.
Mini STX. Those boards are like this big.
We just need a processor that has RAM slots built in.
It's just a system on a chip.
Yeah.
But
with PCI slot and RAM slots.
Exactly. So
it's just got the motherboard built in.
Yeah. So it's a system on a chip, but it's got a little bit of expansion there.
It's not really a system on a chip.
It's a system on a chip.
No,
just with no GPU or RAM.
It's a system on a chip without
just
the system.
Without the system. Yeah, exactly.
It's just on a chip.
So it's
salsa.
Let's do it.
Okay.
We'll call it salsa. So anyway, it's got this MSI X399 SLI Plus. I hate model names, even though that one's not that bad. So 3 NVMe M.2 SSDs, dual 8-pin power, which is fairly common on the Threadripper motherboards. I think I've seen an 8+4. I've never seen a single 8 as far as I know. 13-phase VRM. Nothing particularly spectacular about that. That's actually a pretty weak VRM. That's part of where you're actually kind of lacking when you buy this budget board. VRMs are getting more and more high-end. We're starting to see like 18-phase VRMs and stuff like that. No U.2 port. You're losing that, although that usually takes over one of the M.2 ports. You can only use one or the other. And U.2 drives, let's be realistic, there aren't any other than that Intel drive that nobody bought. They all bought the PCI Express version of the 750 series SSD. Still has some RGB lighting on it. And again, no actual official price. I'll go ahead and pull up the article from Tech here. Full credit goes to them for the article, obviously. So this is what it looks like. You got a little bit of RGB right here. You got a little bit of RGB here and a little bit of RGB up here. You got the dual 8 pins. Not a lot of VRM cooling. It's just got the one heatsink at the top. So, and I mean, it doesn't look particularly spectacular, especially with the way it's contacting those VRMs. So I wouldn't expect too much in forms of cooling the VRMs, which means overclocking might actually be a little bit limited on this. You've got your USB 3.1s there. You've got your 8 SATA ports, so not quite as many SATA ports as some of the other Threadrippers. So, like, you are compromising on some things, but you still got audio boost over here, which is nice. So,
yeah.
And the steel reinforced plates, all the fun stuff still here. Like, if you're trying to do Threadripper on a budget, like, this is potentially the board for you. And then just get, the 8-core or whatever. So, definitely pretty cool. Okay, next one. More Threadripper news, guys. So, finally... Whoa, what? Oh, okay. Finally, NVMe RAID is available for Threadripper. But no, it's not like Intel's garbage, which I'll get to in a moment.
Pay extra?
Well, you don't have to pay extra, and you also can use any SSD, not just Intel SSDs. Did you even know that about VRock?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what you're saying is that I can buy an Intel SSD and use it on Threadripper
in RAID.
And if I have an Intel SSD,
here it is. Yeah,
processor.
So yeah, if you have an Intel processor on their Stream platform, you have to buy a separate PCI card with a license key to use Intel SSDs in RAID, but you can do it on Threadripper for no extra cost.
Oh, Intel, just stop.
I don't.
Give up.
And the thing is, this is doing the same thing. So, we talked about it a little bit, I believe, but Intel VRock, for those of you who don't know, VROC, all caps, it's an acronym, Virtual RAID on CPU, uses the CPU, kind of like software RAID does, but more on a hardware level to do RAID with NVMe SSDs, because there isn't any RAID controllers that currently support NVMe, and there definitely isn't any built-in to board. You should never use built-in board RAID anyway. Shame on you if you do. So... basically, Intel's solution to that was a VRock, which, let me see if I can find a picture of it, actually, so that you guys can see. So, here, there's not very many good pictures of it. Here, hold on. I want to see if I can find this for you guys, so that I can show you guys what I'm talking about. So we can shit all over Intel like we usually do on this podcast because it's becoming the anti-Intel podcast recently, which makes me sad. So they have no images on their site about it. Anyway, point is, yeah, instead of having to buy a bunch of extra crap to do, NVMe RAID with SSDs, you can do it for free. You can do RAID 1, 0, and 10. So the one advantage Intel has is you can do RAID 5 with Intel, but you have to pay even extra for that one. Mm-hmm. 6 total possible SSDs. So 3 onboard M.2s, and then potentially 3 from other PCI Express slots that you would maybe use for GPUs or whatever. But it means at least 3 on pretty much every motherboard. So yeah, anyway, I said it's better than virtual garbage on CPU, with VROC from Intel, which only works with Intel SSDs, is very expensive and requires keys that cost a lot for other kinds of RAID. So basically, AMD shitting all over Intel again.
Wow, what's new?
Yeah, right. And we do have some more in. We have some Intel news that for some reason isn't in here. Why is the 8700K not in here? I even put it in the title. Where did maybe it got deleted?
I didn't touch it.
I mean, I don't expect that you touched it, yeah, but that's weird.
Essentially, all the rumors were true.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's gotten to.
Although, the most interesting thing is that this seems more like it was a paper launch, not a real launch.
Yes, it does.
Availability has been garbage.
Yes, so let's get to that. Let me finish the NVMe RAID really quick. We're almost done with that. Really good performance scaling and testing that people have seen so far. So that's just the last thing I wanted to say there. There doesn't seem to be any heavy limit that sometimes comes with software RAID, so that's good. All right, let's jump into the 8700K. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Intel's site and read off the specs to you guys about the 8700K. But like you said, it seems more like a paper launch. It has been very hard to get a hold of, and that is not that common for Intel's mainstream CPUs.
This is worse than normal.
Well, yeah, like normal Intel mainstream CPUs, they're available usually for like a day or two, and then they're all sold out, maybe 3 days. And then they're sold out for like a week, and then they're pretty much available from there on out, right? This time, they were available for like 12 hours. Then they sold out.
Not even.
Probably not even, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't get a hold of them anywhere. Anywhere. It's really weird for Intel, and I don't know if it's like a manufacturing issue or if Intel is just being a butt. But I'll go ahead and give off the price. So the estimated price is $350. The MSRP is $359 to $370. So we were seeing it around like $350 to $400. Towards the end of them when they were starting to sell out, we saw them for like $400. But yeah. So anyway, spec-wise, you've got 6 cores. So they finally bumped up to 6 cores at almost no additional cost. Wait, does that tell you that they were overcharging for their quad cores for the last 4 years?
Yeah.
Oh. I never would have expected that. Not from them. So anyway, 6 cores, 12 threads, 3.7 gigahertz base, 4.7 gigahertz boost frequency. That is your like more single core boost. All cores will boost to 4.3 consistently though, like simultaneously. Although fun news about that, Intel has said that they will stop with that, remember? They said that they're not going to be publishing their all-core boost anymore because it's proprietary to Intel, so it's going to be harder to figure out what the all-core boost is. So that's lame. So you got 12 megabytes of cache instead of 8 megabytes of cache. So what you would expect with adding more cores. Still in a 95 watt TDP. That is why the lower clock speeds. And actually, you know what? I'm a little bit pissed off with the way Intel's been functioning with toying with clock speeds and spec charts recently. Because they're lowering clock speeds to meet a specific TDP. And while I'm okay with that, because that does matter, especially on like mobile chips and stuff, obviously, that's how it works. Like obviously, a lot of their mobile chips, if you had the cooling, you could and they were unlocked, you could overclock them, like their boost frequency or a little higher, right? But the problem I have is if their chips, okay, let me just tell you this straight up. Every single 8700K on every single motherboard that supports overclocking can hit 4.3 or 4.4, probably 4.5 gigahertz. In fact, I would estimate 4.5 is probably what every board could hit. 4.3 we know for sure because that's the all-core boost.
Yeah.
But Intel has just dropped the base frequency and the all-core boost frequency lower so that they can keep under a specific TDP.
Yeah.
To make it look better and make the overclocking look better. Where now it's like, wow, we're going from 3.7 gigahertz to like 5.2. Big whoop, but it's like, yeah, except that literally on a quality motherboard, every single 8700K could hit 4.8 gigahertz.
Yeah.
And on a cheap board, 4.5. So it's not like it's that massive an overclock. Intel's not pushing the clock speeds as hard as they can. And they should be on their enthusiast platform. And I feel like this whole play here is to, A, make the TDP look better. But more importantly, I think Intel is doing it, this is my personal opinion, they just want people to see, wow, look how much this overclocks, look how much overclocking headroom there is. And it's like, it's made up overclocking headroom at that point.
Yeah. What I would like to see from, realistically, if anyone did this, it would be AMD.
Yeah.
But what I would like to see is whatever every single chip can hit is where it's clocked. And they give us 2 TDPs. They give us an average TDP of just like normal usage, like web browser, email, couple basic programs open, and then they give us a max TDP of when it is actually utilizing its maximum all-core.
See, I'd be more okay with that.
Yeah.
And I bet you what Intel's response, if this was a big community thing that was talking about this, Intel's response would probably be, well, we want to keep the TDP under a certain amount because system integrators might want the TDP so that they can manage cooling. Well, A, any desktop system integrator, I'm sorry, whatever cooler they're putting on there is overkill for a 95-watt TDP.
Yeah.
Second, for laptops like my Sager that I have over there, they might use that as an excuse, but we already know Intel CPUs are smart when it comes to the way they manage frequency and temperature. They could have these things clocked at, say, 4.6 gigahertz stock on all cores, and, say 130-watt TDP or something like that, and then you throw it in a laptop and it starts hitting 90C, and it just underclocks.
Yeah. And it's not like on a laptop they use generic or like normal buy from Newegg motherboards. They're pretty much custom.
Exactly. Plus,
so they could just have the default BIOS be something different.
Exactly. I was actually about to say that. Yeah, it's the K series. It's unlocked. They could literally just have the default BIOS setting, have a lower multiplier on the CPU. You're good to go. So that's not an excuse. So really, it's just so that, hey, our TDP looks good, and hey, look, you can get over a gigahertz more out of your CPU. And it's like,
that's
not
because they
really.
Cuck you a gigahertz.
That's because they cuck you a gigahertz. Yeah, exactly. I like that. I like that a lot. That's a good term. They're cucking the gigahertz. So anyway, but what I will say and what I have to say is the performance of the 8700K is very impressive, and thank you AMD for giving them the nudge to wake this sleeping giant. Now, what people are speculating, obviously, because CPUs take a long time to build, is that Intel has had a 6-core CPU basically ready for a long time. They just haven't actually outed it until they started seeing AMD being competitive. That's the guess. Because some people were initially saying, well, this is just the response to AMD, and then the professional people that knew what they were talking about, like, no, they weren't just like 1 month here, we'll just give them a better CPU. Like, it's not that simple. It's more simple on their Extreme platform, which I still think they did this on their Extreme platform, to have the higher core count CPUs as well. First off, they waited months to come out with different ones like the 18-core that came out recently, this 7980XE, but also they're just Xeons unlocked and overclocked. That's all they are.
Yeah.
Whereas these are custom chips. They're different. They actually are a different manufacturing process. They're not already pre-made chips. But the performance is pretty good, and almost unfortunately, the performance of this chip outperforms all of AMD's 8-core chips on almost every single front, including multi-threaded on almost all benchmarks. When stock clocks. When both are overclocked, which we know there's barely any overclocking headroom on AMD because they actually push their chips all the way, even in multi-core stuff, it will beat every AMD 8-core processor.
That being said, if you're going to be doing overclocking, 1700 can overclock to an 1800X.
Right, and so then you're saving yourself like $80.
Yeah,
and you're getting, well, depending on the 8700K's price. Yeah. Because we're comparing to the 8700K, right? Yeah. So, yeah, the 8700K is supposed to be between 350 and 400, but who knows what it'll actually be when it starts coming in stock again. But, yeah, so basically the benchmarks are obviously it performs better in single core, therefore performing better in gaming because higher clock speeds and slightly higher instructions per clock. We expected that. But the multi-core, it's so much higher, especially when it comes to clock speeds, excuse me, that it actually is beating even like 1800X's at like 4 or 4.1 gigahertz, even 4.2 gigahertz in most multi-threaded tests by a little bit, not by much. So you kind of choose your poison. What I can say is multitasking tests, while very, very hard to actually implement, it's not going to perform as good at multitasking, I wouldn't imagine, But testing on that, nobody does it because it's very hard to know. But when I say multitasking, I mean actually doing a lot at once. When you have more cores available, you're going to have better experience despite them being slower cores. In fact, multitasking, even I noticed this on my old 8-core FX chips from AMD, was better than the quad-core Intel stuff. Mm-hmm. Multitasking, not performance-heavy tasks, though.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit sad to me.
This, in my opinion, just continues the trend that I've always felt has been kind of just the case. And that's that at the top end of whatever it is, Intel's the way to go. If you want to save some money, go with AMD.
Yes.
Everything about this entire
and
launch,
even Threadripper is that just for the next level.
Yes.
Yeah, for the HEDT.
Everything
area.
about this just continues to solidify. Sure, if you want the best of the best, go with Intel.
Yep.
For whatever you can afford. If you want to save some money, maybe put some more money into your GPU, maybe put some more money into faster storage, whatever you want to do.
Yes.
AMD is the way to go. Especially since with AMD, there is no unlocked or locked processors. They can all be overclocked.
Yep.
So you can drop down to the 1700 or
because it literally costs nothing to unlock them.
If you're going with the 6 cores, you can go with the 1600 instead of the 1600X.
Yep. So you end up saving money, and you usually get close to the clock speeds of the higher end ones.
And you can overclock on B350.
Yes, exactly. They're cheaper chipsets. So, yeah, I mean, it kind of, like you said, it continues the trend, but it's not the trend in the bad way that was going around when Bulldozer and the whole FX series of chips of recent was around, where you needed to go Intel because FX was pretty much garbage for anything but maybe, like, budget workstations. So, yeah, that's just... want to point that out as it's kind of continuing the trend. I agree with them on that. But also, you're going to be paying more for the motherboard. So that's something that has to be factored in, is you can get a quality B350 motherboard like Micro ATX for like $70 or $80 that can overclock to the higher speeds that like 4 gigahertz ish that a lot of the Ryzen chips are capable of hitting. So you can spend less than $400, which is probably, I'm guessing, what the price is going to settle around at for the 8700K. You can spend less than that, get a motherboard and an AMD 8-core CPU that performs almost identically, do a little bit of overclocking, and you're going to get pretty similar performance in multitasking. And it's not like you're being hurt really bad when it comes to like gaming and stuff. If you remember back when the FX chips were around, they were so slow when it came to their single-core performance that you actually had like major lacking FPS in games. You would have games that would run at 150 FPS on Intel with the same system. You go over to an FX system and you're running at like 70 FPS or 60 FPS. It's bad. In this case though, with Ryzen, you're commonly getting those higher FPS numbers above like 140, which is what you realistically, you don't need more than that unless you're a serious esports gamer, which in that case you just go with an Intel anyway and overclock the crap out of it, and that's just what you do. Yeah. So anyway, it's good.
Yeah.
Motherboards are more expensive.
One thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to the 8700K and the 8600K as far as shipments. So there were some people that got real screwed in that they got orders in and just aren't getting them for a while. A great example.
Or the one guy got a banana.
I want to share this one great example. So this guy ordered an 8700K and an 8600K.
Okay.
He ordered them on Amazon. He contacted Amazon support, was talking to them about it, had some problems, so they updated it to 1-day shipping at no additional charge. Reading through the entire chat, they did confirm he will receive it Friday. It would ship the next day. Okay. And then the new update, as of less than an hour ago, was that 45 minutes ago. So he logged into the Amazon app, and they're arriving November 23rd.
Okay. I do want to throw one thing in there. It will arrive sooner than that. Amazon updates their estimated shipping and gives a massive leeway so that they don't get yelled at.
Yeah,
but that's still messed up because I bet you he's not going to receive it for like 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. Now, I bet you it'll be before the end of October still, hopefully. Because I have had that happen with Amazon where like something doesn't ship on time and all of a sudden it's supposed to come Friday and then the estimated ship date or arrival date's like 2 months later and then the next day it gets like updated again. But still, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so that makes it seem more like a paper launch. Yeah, it makes it seem more like, here's this thing, here's like 5,000 of them. All right, we ran out, we'll make more.
Yeah.
Maybe Intel was scared because they didn't know how good it was going to do sales-wise because Ryzen.
I don't think so.
I doubt it too.
I still stand by that the only thing that Intel changed with this entire launch was that they sped up some things.
Yeah, they pushed.
I still think that the 3 different process nodes that they're using for the 8th gen series, or the 3 different just designs, were all originally going to be 3 different architectures. And since Ryzen was so successful at what it needed to be successful at, Intel is just like, let's rush this so we can get to the next thing, which is going to be a real...
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 8 cores on X370.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to update the chipset again. Oh, that's something I should have mentioned.
Yeah,
so
right. Like Intel would not update the chipset when they can.
Okay, that's a good
point. We're
going
to get Z390. Let's be real.
Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, I meant to say Z370 too, but yeah. So Z270 boards are not compatible with the 6-core Intel chips, or actually anything from the Coffee Lake lineup. So keep that in mind, guys. All you people that just bought Z270 boards and were very excited and expected to get, 2 years worth of support out of them, because that's usually what happens with an Intel chipset, is usually you get 2 years. Yeah, no, you're screwed. It sucks. You bought a new board, you got to buy another, and they're claiming it's because of the 6-core and the way the power delivery is designed. So they're saying that. I don't know how much fact there is when it comes to it, but it seems to be that they had to do a new chipset. Pooey.
But yeah, so rumors are that Z390 will be for 8-core.
Okay. I mean that makes sense. I'm excited for AMD's Zen Plus though, because I think that's going to be serious clock speed push.
Meaning that Intel will have in one product, like just 8th gen, have updated their chipset more times than AMD will for pretty much all of the Ryzen architecture. Yeah.
That's a really good point, and that makes me sad.
And it makes Intel happy because money,
yep. And people will do it. It's like people bought this 8700K, like they were blown away and wanted it. And I think part of that is actually the media's fault. I think the media is to blame a little bit, because there's a lot of praise going around about the 8700K being this amazing, godly chip. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, realistically, a multi-core, it's barely faster than AMD's 8 cores. And it's not available. And I'm actually a little bit frustrated with the way the media has been pushing this out there with the 8700K. It's like they're pushing it like it's the next king in, standard platform computing, and like it's not. I disagree with that statement.
Yeah.
And I was considering buying one, and I was like, no, that'd be dumb. And this, Intel does have the better performance. We know this. Mm-hmm. In fact, if you want the best performance, period, you go with Intel's Extreme platform, right? Because Intel's Extreme platform, their 10-core will commonly outperform AMD's 16-core, except in a pretty good amount of multi-threaded stuff. The 16-core will win, but their 14-core will always beat AMD's 16-core and everything. Even their 12-core usually will. And then you start overclocking, and it's just they're a beast of their own. And really realistically, with a lot of the articles that I read about the 8700K, and even some of the other stuff when related to the Extreme platform, like the 7980XE and stuff, is, AMD deserves some glory for forcing Intel to do something, for waking this sleeping giant, as people are calling it, and forcing Intel to do something impressive. The thing that makes me mad, though, is this shows that Intel's had shit hiding up their sleeves, waiting to compete. And that is a really bad business practice, in my mind, to hold things back from the consumer just so you can give the finger to the other company when they're finally catching back up. Mm-hmm. That makes me mad, because I don't appreciate that kind of business practice at all. You don't save your innovations and not deliver them to consumers that will buy them because you want to stomp all over the next company when they come out with something.
Yeah, but we could just release 4 cores for 20 years.
And it just makes me mad. Yeah, it was a profit thing. It was a profit thing, and when AMD does something impressive, we'll slaughter them. Like, if this was planned and wasn't just a scare from Ryzen, like if this was actually a planned thing, most of this stuff, it was just planned because they knew AMD was going to start being competitive. It was planned, it was ready to go, and they were just waiting for the moment to drop this. Instead of every year, they could have been adding 2 cores to the Extreme platform. They could have gone 8-core, 10-core, 12-core, we would have been at 14-core this time around. Instead, they went 6-core, 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 8-core, 10-core, think did they have 2 series of 10 core? I can't remember. And then they went 18 core. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, makes me angry. Okay, next topic though, because we're getting low on time. So WD launches a 14 terabyte drive, not made by WD, made by HGST. Because what doesn't WD own at this point? I guess they own SanDisk. They own HGST, or essentially own them, and they own SanDisk. But anyway, yeah, it's a 14 terabyte helium-filled drive, not using shingled magnetic recording. This is actually using regular full-speed drives. There's no reviews out of it yet, but I would imagine it's a little bit faster than every other hard drive out there because, as I explained in my episode of Blips a while back about hard drive technology, which was specifically about hammer heat-assisted magnetic recording. I also did one on HDDs. Anyway, though, point is the grain size, which is the amount of bits that you can actually fit in a given area on the platter. So the areal density, basically, is different.
Yeah.
Is higher. Is better.
We got a food question.
Okay.
Burgers and fries or bacon and eggs?
Okay, so first, Joe says, sorry I'm late. You work again today. Hey, you know what? That's totally cool. We appreciate that you join. And I also want to mention to you that you're just in time for the food question. So that's all that really matters, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we still got a lot of tech news. But Felipe, he has the food question here. And so we're going to answer this in a moment. Also, Alien Technology, I want to say thank you for being on the podcast pretty much every time. I'm going to go ahead and make you a mod along with Joe because we want to get our mods up before we start growing bigger and bigger so that we have a few mods that are there fairly consistently. So I'm going to promote you to mod as well so that we have some more mods on the channel for when we start getting more views. Anyway, though, so thank you, Joe and Alien Technology, for being here basically every time. We appreciate it. Felipe's question. Burgers and fries or bacon and eggs?
I've got the right answer. I'll let you answer first because mine's correct. This is one of the few food questions where there is a correct answer.
I don't know if there is a correct answer here.
I'll explain why it's correct.
I don't know. I like both a lot.
You gotta pick one.
Burger and fries.
Really?
I'm picking burger and fries.
Okay. I'm going to go bacon and eggs. And the reason I'm saying it's correct is bacon and eggs can go on a burger. And you can eat that with fries.
That is actually a good point. That's hard to argue against. Although the right answer to this question is obviously green eggs and ham.
I was going to say it's
no copyright there. I'm sorry. No.
Fries and bacon.
Fries and bacon.
Bacon
well, the thing is, I don't like egg on a burger though.
Really?
Yeah, I love bacon on a burger. But I don't particularly like egg on a burger.
It's delicious.
I don't hate it, but I don't like it.
Where have you had it from?
Multiple places. Most of which I don't remember because I don't get it anymore.
Okay.
Red Robin, I think, once.
Yeah.
But most of the places, Red Robin's, but I don't get it anymore because I didn't like it that much. But yeah, I say burger and fries here. And I mean, the thing is, I feel like they're a better combo than bacon and eggs, too. Yeah.
Nothing's more iconic than bacon and eggs now.
I disagree with that, though. What do all the fast food restaurants have?
Bacon and eggs for breakfast?
What did they have before they had that, though? Burger and fries. Everything was started
technically, they don't have anything before breakfast because they're closed.
You make me angry.
Yeah, I try.
You make me angry. So, yeah. Anyway, Felipe, I think, obviously, I'm right here, and he's wrong, so...
Mine can literally go on yours and make yours better.
You're gonna go on me? Dude, this is a live stream. That's inappropriate.
Only on a live stream?
Only on the live stream.
Okay.
No. So, Joe asks, favorite burger? Mine is actually pretty simple. It is a burger with Chipotle mayo on it. From the local cow downtown Gresham. I'm sorry, probably nobody watching this can actually go get one other than Felipe. Yeah. Best burger joint I've ever been to in my life, though. Absolutely amazing. Red Robin's good when it comes to a chain, though, so something you can recommend from them. I haven't been there recently enough to know the names of their burgers.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't go eat it.
I haven't had my favorite burger.
I haven't.
In so long, I don't remember the name of my favorite burger.
No, I was talking about a local. No, I'm talking about Red Robin. I haven't been to Red Robin for so long. The local cow, I love that place. I don't know if they actually name their burgers though. I can't remember.
The burger that I'm going to choose is not named.
Yeah, okay. Well, what's your favorite burger?
Literally, bacon, egg, and cheese. From Fuller's downtown. It's like this 70s style diner.
You got him going, Felipe, I have to say.
I'm not even wrong. Like, this was literally, it's like the default burger I get. It's literally
I appreciate this question.
Thing. It's my favorite thing on their menu. I get it almost every time I go to that restaurant. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I said that immediately. When I saw burger and fries or bacon and eggs, I'm like, wait a minute, I've had all of those like a week ago.
Okay. See, mine is a sesame seed bun.
Wow, that's
I knew you were gonna
unusual.
say. I knew you were gonna say wow. I knew those were the exact words you were gonna use. With a burger patty, but the best burger patty I've ever had. That's part of what makes this so good, is because of the local cow being delicious. You know, it'd be great if they sponsored us. That'd be super dope. Because I'm already talking about how great.
Yes, because we would get a local business.
Local cow, where local is in your name. Please sponsor our worldwide podcast. Maybe we can get people traveling here. You get some traffic, to downtown Gresham, staying in like hotels just to go to the local cow. I bet you if we were big enough, we could get a couple of people to do it.
If you can do that, I guarantee you they'd sponsor us.
That's a good point. Hey, somebody fly here and go to the local cow and get their food because it's amazing.
And then just say, we heard about you guys on WordTech.
Yeah, just say it. Be like, oh yeah, these guys did the podcast, so we heard about it. You have to tell them, please. Okay, but yeah, so then it's got a burger patty, and it's got cheese.
So it sounds like
a normal burger. Then it's got the chipotle mayo and the avocado, and oh my gosh, is it amazing.
So what you're saying is you're a spoiled millennial because you need your avocado bread.
I need my avocado, yes. Avocado is very important.
Guac.
See, you know what I don't understand about Felipe's food questions that he asks during our tech podcast, which started 8 episodes ago? What I don't understand is whenever he posts the food question, we get like 4 more people to join the podcast immediately after he posts it. I don't understand, but I mean, it's great. Keep posting those food questions, I suppose. And then Joe says he's down in California, so a ticket isn't that much. This is true. This is true. The local cow is a delicious place.
And Fuller's.
They're always very busy, though.
Yeah.
I have only been there once when they weren't busy. And they were still busy. They just had a table open.
Oh, wow. Fancy.
They're usually very busy. But let's move back on the tech because we still have a lot of shit to talk about and we have 1 hour. So, last PC topic, 1070.
Apparently I don't eat.
You don't eat?
Yeah, according to Mirko.
Wait, let's see. Mirko says Daniel doesn't eat. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I definitely didn't just have Chipotle.
That's true. We did just have Chipotle, and it was delicious. But they should sponsor us now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they should sponsor us. Hey, a small donation of free burritos for a month or something like that, dude.
I'd get so fat.
That's the problem.
Free burritos for a month.
That's the problem. Hey, you just give us free burritos though, and we'll talk about you on our show. We already are free advertising though, I guess. Anyway, so we should probably stop that, huh? But we have favoritism for brands.
Yeah.
Okay,
but 1070 Ti.
Only when it comes to food though. We don't have favoritism when it comes to PC stuff.
Right.
Okay,
1070 Ti.
Anyway, the unofficial launch of the GTX 1070 Ti. So I'm reading this here from PC Per. The original article comes from Tech Arp. But anyway, it looks like a very interesting GPU. So it's as you'd expect in between a 1070 and a 1080. 1070 Ti, likely to compete with Vega. Although I feel like NVIDIA launched this to compete with Vega and probably hasn't. They probably already prepared it for launch before realizing that Vega wasn't going to be available anywhere. So because it seems like a kind of a competition versus Vega when it comes to what its performance is likely to hit. Because this is very likely to hit the performance of Vega 56 dead on. Slightly better probably actually. So it's got 2,432 CUDA cores versus the 1,920 that you have on a 1070. And compared to the 2,560 that you have on a 1080. So it is actually pretty close to a 1080. It's not an in-between step, which would be like 2250. Memory clock speeds are, GPU clock is 1607 base, 1683 boost. Obviously, the boost can go way higher than that. It's got GPU Boost 3.0 in it. or 2.0, whatever they're at right now. Slightly slower texture fill rate, slightly slower slightly slower pixel fill rate, and 8 gigabytes of GDDR5, not GDDR5X, which I actually find interesting because I thought the 1070 was only GDDR5X. Aren't I right about that? I gotta figure this out because now I'm a little confused.
Wait, what?
Isn't the 1070 GDDR5X, not GDDR5? Or is it GDDR5?
No, it's GDDR5, but they bumped up the speed of the GDDR5.
Yeah, I saw that, but I thought the 1070, not the 1080, is where the X started.
I don't think so.
Have I missed that this entire time? Let me check my laptop's website, because I'm a little bit confused here now, because I swear it was X, and I might just have always read it wrong because I'm dumb. I mean, that's very likely, but...
oh, no. You're right.
Yeah, so it seems like... Okay, here, let me check 1070 for... Let me go to actual NVIDIA's website this time. 1070 graphics card. We're going down to, let's see, specs. Whoop, whoop. No, it's still GDDR5. Okay. According to GeForce's website. Interesting. I'm surprised.
It's just faster GDDR5.
Yeah.
They did that slight refresh.
Right. I guess was just wrong about that. Memory bandwidth is actually the same, with 256 gigabytes per second.
Yeah.
So it's just a higher clock, I'm guessing. Okay, well, anyway, still GDDR5. Looks to be an interesting GPU. We'll have to see about price. The estimate, I believe it looks like the estimate's to be about $429, which puts it in a really good price bracket. When you consider that right now on Amazon, if you look up for a 1070, a lot of the aftermarket ones are that price. They're like $430. $440 even. So, I mean, for like $450 or $480, you're getting almost 1080 performance. So this is exciting. We'll see though, because I'm not seeing, it doesn't look like you can buy it, and we don't really know when you're going to be able to buy it. Yeah, because it's not available anywhere right now. So it's interesting though.
One additional bit of PC news before we switch off of that, since that was the last topic. Go to PCPer's homepage.
PCPer's homepage?
Yeah, you'll be interested in this.
Going to PC Perspective's website.
And then go to the first article.
Okay.
Hammer competitive that's actually kind of market viable much sooner.
So Western Digital has a technology they're calling MAMR.
It's microwave assisted.
Huh?
Microwave assisted.
Microwave assisted magnetic recording.
Yes.
Whoa, this is
interesting. Some of the big things that they're claiming as an advantage over Hammer, they have a specific image that just has a comparison. For one, it uses current technology, so you don't need to wait for new material, supply line changes, things like that. It should be
well, Hammer does use current technology too. You know that, right? I mean, you're still having to add in microwave a microwave broadcast in here. This is be careful that it's a little bit of marketing terms.
Yeah.
Is either way, you have to install the microwave delivery or broadcaster versus a laser. I mean, but it's still
this isn't just using straight normal microwaves.
It what?
They're not doing just regular it's much more complex than just shooting microwaves at the disc.
Right. I mean, I imagine that.
But
Western Digital has the money to put into it, but Seagate's been working on Hammer for so long. Okay, so when they say heat dramatically degrades reliability, they're comparing it to Hammer. That's not exactly true. The heat-assisted magnetic recording allows a smaller grain size. I explained this all in an episode of Blips, but it's not necessarily affecting reliability. Inherently, when you go to a smaller grain size, you do actually have a slightly lower reliability because there's a higher chance that the magnetic polarity of a specific area will flop to the other polarity.
Yeah.
So as far as I understand, that's how the science works. So this is probably because you're obviously, in order to get more storage on the same area, they're having to do a smaller grain size. Probably has that same effect. Let's see. So
I think the biggest thing is just that this is going to be in production sooner. That's all that really matters.
Well, they're saying production in 2019. Production of Hammer is supposed to be next year.
Supposed to be.
Supposed to be.
But we're supposed to be halfway to 60 terabyte drives by now in Hammer, and we're not even close.
That's true. That's true. But they actually have a launch date now too, so which is important. And the cost they're saying is way higher than PMR, which is your standard magnetic recording.
Oh, well, of course. I mean, this is supposed to be for drives over 40 terabytes.
Well, yeah, but no, they're saying the cost is higher on Hammer versus Mammer.
Oh.
But in that case, probably not by much, because one of the main advantages to Hammer that Seagate has talked about is that it doesn't cost much more, because it's not a particularly powerful laser. I mean, basically the way Hammer works is a little bit of software change and a laser and a smaller needle, and that is the changes that need to be made to Hammer. But we'll see what comes of it. This is very interesting.
Yeah, I mostly just wanted to share this so that you can read up on it, since you're much more...
I'm going to do an episode of Blips on this probably next week.
Yeah.
So, thank you for showing me this. This is very interesting stuff here. So Joe says, so what you're saying is I can connect my microwave to my PC and get 40 terabytes. That is exactly what I'm saying. You put your hard drive in a microwave, and you drill a hole so you can put your SATA cables through, and just make sure that hole's facing you, wherever you are, right? And then you just turn on the microwave, and then you work away. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. I don't endorse that by any means. You don't want microwaves to leak out of your microwave and hit you. It will cause cancer.
You do not want to connect a camera to your computer, because microwaves are cameras. Remember that.
Yes, there we go. Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Mobile topics?
Mobile topics, yes.
Battery.
I'm going to do a lot more. Next week, we'll cover Mammer more, guys.
Yeah.
Because this is interesting. That excites me, because I'm a hard drive whore.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, now it makes me go, should I wait to buy hard drives for my NAS?
No.
But probably not. Okay, so we have some mobile stuff. That is all the PC stuff that time around. Cool.
So the first thing we're going to talk about, there's always new battery innovations that never make it to market. And the newest one
that will probably never make it to market. Yeah.
Now this one has a better than normal chance.
This whole trend started with graphene. You remember that, right?
Yeah.
Like back in 2012.
This has a much better than normal chance, I feel like, just because of the materials being used.
Yeah, I did hear about this. Yeah.
Rice University has figured out a way to add
Pause what you're saying for a second. Had to make the noise.
To add a bit of asphalt to lithium metal batteries to speed up the charging by 20x.
Yes, you heard him. He said asphalt.
Yes. Yes.
Not asphalt. Asphalt. You add a little bit of asphalt to it, and you're good to go. No, yeah, asphalt.
Yeah, so
ASPHALT, to make sure we get that out in the open, because everybody's going to hear asphalt now when we say that. So,
okay.
Anyway, sorry.
So the interesting thing, so these batteries are supposedly capable of going from 0 to a full charge in 5 minutes.
It says 20 on here.
Huh? Oh, I messed up on the title.
Yeah, he accidentally typed 20 instead of 5. Just fat finger.
It's I'm kidding. Faster charging by 20x. I just
20 times faster. Up. Yeah, it's 10 to 20 times faster.
Faster.
Ugh. This whole episode is going on with the intro. I mean, we might as well just
oh my god.
Just do it, man. No. We might as well at this point. Okay, I'll do it for you. I can't. There. That signifies the crazy episode of WordCast that we're having right now. Okay, so yeah, 10 to 20 times faster charging now.
So the lab used a derivative of asphalt, specifically untreated gilsonite, same type used for the battery to treat greenhouse gases from natural gas. This time the researchers blah 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 blah. Long story short, new battery tech that probably won't make it into phones.
New battery tech, fast charging. No promise about bigger batteries, right? It's just faster charging.
They do claim that they have very, very large or high capacity.
Okay, so just like the last 12 times, instant charging and high capacity.
Yes.
Now this one is particularly interesting because
it doesn't
asphalt is everywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't use some particularly
special,
new
like,
material.
graphene or something like that. It's like this wonder material that's going to fix everything on the planet that hasn't been put in anything and will probably never be used because, yeah. So anyway, interesting.
Yeah. This one you'll want to bring up
one disappoints me.
On the computer, because you'll want to see this and you'll want to share it on the...
Excuse me. This is going to a Reddit post. I'm going to put a screen share up in a minute. By... Torty Meyer.
Yes. And there's a lot of comments as well. with this. So
saying that like
showing the same thing, like a lot of images showing.
So it seems to be somewhat consistent.
Yes.
Maybe.
Go back to Reddit. Just go back to Reddit.
Go back to Reddit.
Yes.
Why would I go back to Reddit?
Better. Do you not have Reddit enhancement speed?
Not installed on this computer now.
Oh, never mind. Oh wait, zoom up or scroll up, all the way. Yeah, you can still click on that. No, not the link. Click on the X.
Oh, okay, that's much better. Yes. All right, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you this now. Screen capture here,
and you can
scroll through
the gallery.
Yeah. So if you look at this here, guys,
this is one of
that's what it looks like
pictures.
On a black screen.
A gray screen.
A gray screen.
So because if it's a black screen, the lights are off.
Oh yeah, because it's
now the interesting thing is this isn't actually a backlight issue because OLEDs don't have backlights. This is just shitty yields.
So the OLEDs themselves are being different.
It's very likely something with how the current is transmitting across the screen.
That's why it doesn't look like backlight bleed. It does not look the same. In case you notice, there's like some areas that it looks splotchy. It looks like a gradient that's not good, but then also scrambled.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's very likely something with how the current is being transmitted among the screen, or with how the screen is being laid. So for those that don't know how OLED is manufactured, it's not really, but it's like kind of printed.
Yeah.
And so if they have a bad yield, it's going to create really inconsistent results. Now, from what I was reading with a lot of this, at super high brightnesses or with like actual black screens, you won't really notice it.
Right.
But if you're on something like a darker screen at like nighttime and it's like 15-20% brightness, you're going to notice this. And if you scroll down and look through the comments, there's a lot more pictures.
That's not good. This is bad.
At like look at the
I've been planning to buy one.
Yeah, that's why your comments are in a different. Oh wait, no, never mind. Just minimize. Here, close the comment chain.
Different. Oh, okay.
And then just keep closing them until close that one.
Okay. I'm closing things.
Close that one, and I think one or two more.
Same problem. Verizon model.
One more.
Okay.
That one. Open the 0% brightness image.
So 0% brightness. Ooh, that is disgusting. Yeah. And that is picked up on somebody's camera, which tells you it's even worse in person. Mm-hmm. Like, look at that. That just bothers me because I was planning to buy a V30. I was excited to buy a V30. It was going to be my new B camera.
Look at the 15% brightness.
15%. Less noticeable, but still pretty bad.
And then at 30%, it's even less noticeable, but still there.
30%, it's still there. That's really bad.
Yeah.
That actually concerns me. So I'm going to get out of this here, streamception for one more second. That is really bad. That bothers me because I was excited for the V30 because all the reviews of the pre-production units so far have been, whoa, this thing's amazing. You should seriously consider it. It's impressive.
Now, when it comes to this issue, as of right now, going through the comments, it seems
obviously
like
not
is
everybody because LG would have made a statement immediately.
Yeah. But it seems like it's a higher amount of Verizon phones. That could just be because that's just the amount of people that posted about it.
Could be.
We don't know yet. There was one comment I saw where someone said that their T-Mobile phone was fine, and one guy who said it was only minimal. So we don't know. It could be that they, sent Verizon's made Verizon's batch first and then got better and better, and who knows.
Yeah.
But
I'm hoping that this is a early off the line issue that they noticed, but they shipped them out anyway for whatever reason, or accidentally shipped some out or something, and
or they shipped them and then kept some of the test units and then noticed it or something like that.
Yeah, or it could even be that that they started getting bad yields and they fixed the yields, but they forgot to remove some from the production line that ended up getting installed anyway.
Yeah, we'll see. It just
especially because this isn't as noticeable in good light. And it's probably likely that the rooms that do the quick quality inspection of the phone, turn them on, make sure they work,
so much
are probably in a
quality, the light in the
room.
It's the backlight.
Well, it's the backlight brightness, but also it's going to be less noticeable if you have a bright area. And I mean, they're working with fluorescent lighting. It
also just depends as well on what screens they were on. Because if you're on an all black screen or if you're on an all white screen, you're not going to notice it. It's mostly noticeable with things like grays.
Right.
That's where it's at its worst. The other thing though is, LG's never been the best at OLEDs for mobile. It's like LG focused very hard on TVs, OLED TVs. Yeah.
And hopefully monitors, because I mean, let's be realistic. LG's monitors have been blowing up the industry. Mm-hmm. Like, they've been incredible. But anyway, sorry.
And then Samsung focused on the mobile devices.
Yes. Samsung started doing mobile back with, what was it, the Galaxy S2?
Yes.
Or was it the S3?
It was the S2, I think, that used AMOLED, and then the S3 had AMOLED Plus, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, which I think, wasn't that just a resolution increase?
No, it wasn't a resolution increase. It was a switch from Pentile to proper RGB, I believe.
No, they're still using Pentile.
At one point they switched off.
It might have been the S8 then. I don't know.
No, it was a long time ago they switched off, and then I think they switched back.
Okay, and also you know AMOLED is different from the OLEDs that are being produced by LG, right?
Yes,
because active matrix.
Samsung makes
different.
Regular OLEDs for other companies.
They do, right, correct. And but the active matrix is a different technology than
Samsung panel development wise better than LG on mobile.
Yes.
What worries me about this is there's another phone made by LG coming out soon.
What's it called?
The Pixel 2 XL.
What does it look like? It looks identical on the front, basically, to a V30 when it comes to the screen. Like the phones, when you just compare the front, they look pretty similar.
Yeah, kind of.
Like there was comparisons done by that when it first got announced.
So, if anything, I hope that LG gave the shitty yields to their V30 and put the better yields on the Pixel.
Well, realistically, let's hope that just the shitty yields go away and it was an accident and they just replace them and we're good to go and we don't have a fiasco like the Note 7.
Yeah.
Where it's like they all have it. Now, the thing about this, though, is they're not just going to recall all the phones.
Yeah.
You just have to hope you get lucky, I guess.
What is the V30's... So the V30's MSRP is $800, so the Pixel 2 is a higher price.
Yes. It's a higher price, but... I mean, realistically,
I'm just asking because I'm like thinking to myself. I'm just trying to justify anyway that like it's gonna have better screens. I really hope my Pixel 2 doesn't have this, especially since the Pixel 2 is shipping like a month later.
Right.
So we will see. Ars Technica has an article about it too.
They do? Okay.
V30 just display issues.
Still have
this is actually
issues,
an old article. This isn't even talking about the...
Yeah, because if you look at the comparison there, man, that's not good. I personally really hope that this doesn't become a major issue. I hope that this becomes some phones, not all of them, not a big deal kind of thing.
Yeah. Next topic is Oxygen OS.
Yes.
Collecting user info, and a lot of it...
Felipe was asking about this, by the way. So, Felipe, if you're still watching, pay attention.
Yeah, so Oxygen OS is the custom operating system for OnePlus devices. And
which is similar, actually, to CyanogenMod. It's kind of based on CyanogenMod, because CyanogenMod's gone. I mean, roughly. Because they developed their own, and CyanogenMod's based on stock Android, but some of the ideas behind Cyanogen...
Cyanogen was... the original OS on the OnePlus, and
OnePlus
then
1.
Yes, and then OnePlus as a company started developing Oxygen separately.
Right, I'm saying they took ideas from CyanogenMod.
Yeah, some of the things took ideas for everything.
Oh, yeah, I'm just saying.
You could say that.
I'm saying that Cyanogen doesn't exist anymore. Oxygen's the closest thing to it.
But that's because Cyanogen went out of business because they're shitty.
Cyanogen's not shitty. It's just nobody cares about custom ROMs anymore because bloatware's going away.
Cyanogen business.
Shitty. Okay. Never mind.
Because Cyanogen Mod and Cyanogen are two different things.
Yes. Okay. Because when it came to the ROM, was excellent. Yeah. It was the best out there in my opinion.
But
and I tried
Cyanogen OS was trash, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
Because there was Cyanogen OS, the company. Made operating system, and then there was the open sourced OS.
Okay, and Cyanogen OS was still Android based, and that's what was on the OnePlus One.
Yes, it was just
so
a different
it wasn't
ROM.
Cyanogen Mod.
The one that was on the OnePlus One was fine, but they started getting more and more terrible. They started doing things like including Microsoft apps. Cyanogen's supposed to not have bloatware, but as far as Oxygen OS, it's data mining literally personally identifiable information. So it's gathering things like IMEIs. It's gathering things like...
IMEIs? Fuck.
Yeah, usernames.
That's really bad.
There's no prompt for, like, on Android phones, you can, like, send info to Google and send info to developers, but it's a prompt that you have to do. There isn't that on the OnePlus. It's just doing it.
Jeez. That's really bad.
Yeah.
That is really, really bad.
And as of now, I think, as far as I know, OnePlus still hasn't responded to the problem. They're just, like, not talking. So he analyzed what info is being sent to this domain and found that OnePlus was collecting screen on, screen off, device unlock events, abnormal reboots, serial number, IMEI, phone numbers, MAC addresses, mobile networks, and IMSI prefixes, and wireless network ESSID and BSSIDs.
It's so bad. That's just so bad.
Data mining didn't stop
Is
there.
live stream still live for you? Mine did something weird for a second. I went to a different page, and okay, it looks like it's been fine.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. All right, anyway.
And it was also collecting timestamps of when he opened and closed applications, and even which activities were being opened. More diggings found that the code responsible for this data collection...
So basically, don't buy OnePlus.
Yeah, the code responsible for this is part of OnePlus's device manager, and the OnePlus device manager
this is on purpose,
provider.
clearly, then, yeah.
Yes.
That's unfortunate, because I liked OnePlus. And now I need to boycott them.
If your device is not rooted, you can run an ADB command to disable that system application. So if you currently have a OnePlus, there is a way to stop it.
If you're not rooted, you said.
Correct.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm assuming if you're rooted, you would just install a custom ROM anyway. But yeah, so I would recommend the XDA article on this for anyone that has it, and I'll post a link in the
chat.
So that way, if you guys have a OnePlus, you can. That has what command you need to disable the application.
That'll allow you to do it. Felipe, that's probably something you should do, because that's messed up. Wait, no, Felipe, do you have a OnePlus? I can't remember.
I think he was just wanting to know about the...
Well, I thought he had a one...
He might.
He had a Note 4, and then he upgraded, and I can't remember what he upgraded to. I'm sorry that I forgot, Felipe. I usually remember the
how does Ethan not know your entire phone history?
I know everybody's entire freaking phone history. And
what was my first Android phone?
Since I knew you. You got an Android phone before I knew you.
True.
Like, come on.
What was the first Android phone I had when you met me?
When I met you back in high school?
Yes.
Wasn't it a Motorola? I thought it was. I thought it was I
didn't get that until right near the end of high school.
Oh, no. Okay. That's the last one I remember. But anyway, point is, I usually remember my friends...
It was the MyTouch 4G.
Specs. Oh, okay.
The one that got... I had 4 replacements.
I don't ever remember seeing you with that phone,
it.
though.
I think I had it in a case.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, like, I remember people's stuff pretty well. Like, you know, I mean, I guess, granted, I remember a lot about Felipe's PC, because I... Granted, I remember a lot about Felipe's PC. Granted, I built it, so that's probably why.
He said he had one, but now he has a Pixel. Joe asked what his first phone was.
Okay, good. What was... Joe said, what was my first phone?
Probably a home phone.
Your first phone... I'm gonna change your question before answering it. I'm gonna say, Joe, what was your first Android phone? And I am going to make a guess that it was a... See, I know nothing about you other than you're great as a mod and great as... You always watch our podcast. I'm going to guess... This is tough. Oh, man. I'm trying to remember phones from the day, you know, bro.
Man, you keep saying you're going to guess, but you're not guessing.
Well, I was going to guess, but I'm trying to think how far should I go back. I'm going to say an HTC One. It's not that far back, though.
No.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Guess what my first Android phone was.
What was your first Android phone?
No, you have to guess, but I'll give you one hint. It was from the first generation of Android phones. So, like, that first year that Android phones came out.
It wasn't the Google one, was it?
No.
Oh. Shoot. See, I wasn't big on Android back then.
Motorola Click.
See, you're a little older than me. I don't remember that phone.
Yeah.
You're
I'm a year older than you.
Exactly.
I had the
I started getting into phones like a year after Android became a thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I got so I had a Sidekick when Android first launched, and then I got the Motorola Click as soon as I could upgrade.
Okay. Interesting. My first one was a Samsung, and I don't remember.
Wow.
The name, because it was not a flagship.
Or was it one of the flagships?
It was a slider with a slide out keyboard on it, and then
one of the S1s did have that.
Yes, but it wasn't that.
Okay.
Then they replaced it with a nicer one, but it still wasn't the S1 that had the slide out. But a nicer Samsung one, because mine broke.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, I went to a Motorola Photon, and then I went to a Motorola Photon Q, because I had the QWERTY keyboard. And that thing got soaking wet every day for like a year, and finally died on me. Because I worked washing dishes at a restaurant, and I would literally soak the phone in water every day. And it just had,
so
it just had,
is
so it was not a waterproof
phone.
Yeah, right. But it did have the nano coating to help resist spills, and that thing worked for like 8 months, getting soaked 3 to 4 days a week is how much I was working, and it just kept working until finally the screen stopped working.
Yes.
And Joe says he is barely 18. He's got his at 17. So guess again. Oh, okay. An Android phone from 2013 though.
Galaxy S4.
Maybe a Galaxy S4. I'm gonna say that was about 2013, wasn't it? LG G2.
Ew. So we had a boot loop.
Okay, come on. Not every LG phone has a boot loop.
No, they just have screen issues when they don't.
All right, let's move on here.
So this is something I'm really excited to see. So for those that, I mean, everyone,
it only took a natural disaster to make it.
Well, Google's been working on this for a while.
Oh no, I know, but a natural disaster to make it approved.
Well, they've done actual like proper tests and stuff. They've just never had to use it in a scenario. This was.
It was originally meant for natural disasters, though, kind of, wasn't it?
Let me explain it all. Okay. So, Project Loon is a way to handle things like cellular service and Wi-Fi through...
Hey! Joe said Nexus 6. Dang good choice, my man. I like that. That was a phone that I wanted and never bought. But I really wanted. I had a Note 5 at the time. And I wanted it because I wanted to stock Android. I was sick of the bloatware, but... I also liked my Note a lot. So anyway,
so Google has this project or part of their like X Labs or whatever they call it now. I think it's just called X.
Yeah, I believe that's correct. Yeah,
but it's a balloon-based, practically like floating cell tower.
Yeah.
And the idea is whether it
and
is
they beam to satellites, correct?
Huh?
They beam.
It depends.
It connects. Okay.
It depends. But depending on the way or like the environment, so let's say you needed cellular service because of a disaster, or cellular service in a rural area where it wasn't feasible to build out, or cellular service in like Africa.
So basically the kind of innovation that realistically the cell carriers should be coming up with but haven't because they're greedy and haven't been spending their money.
Yes and no. This isn't really something that we're going to see other than for disasters. Much use of in the U.S.
Yeah.
This is definitely more so targeted at something like Africa.
Yeah.
As far as like a long-term business strategy. However, as soon as everything happened with Puerto Rico and the hurricane, Google's Project Loon team started working on getting approval for helping get the network back up for an emergency situation. And as of recently, they did. So the way that this works is that these balloons deploy about 11 miles up in the air, and they essentially can collect LTE from one of the working towers, and then just beam it to other balloons.
So like the daisy chain.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. This is really cool, and also I just want to say our hearts go out to everybody that has been damaged by the hurricanes. It's terrible. I mean, I hate saying that we're talking about Puerto Rico, and I said hurricanes.
Yeah.
I hate that I had to say plural, and we feel terrible for everything that's going on there, guys.
Yeah.
So
and it's going to be a long road for
that
island.
Okay, continue going
on. But ultimately what will happen with this, so Google did get approval, and they're working on testing. They're deploying 30 balloons over Puerto Rico to provide emergency LTE services, where an estimated 83% of cell towers remain offline 3 weeks after the hurricane.
It's crazy.
So this is going to be, I mean, in a lot of cases people still don't have electricity, so that's still a massive problem. But this is a step in the right direction, especially for getting communications back online. It's like for the recovery option in general, being able to have the people working on rebuilding the network, or the people working on finding people or figuring out what supplies they need, for them to have connectivity, that's going to make a world of difference.
It's going to help a lot. It's going to help a lot.
Yeah, this is massive. This is also just a good way to use this amazing technology in a very helpful way.
Yeah. So I wanted to go ahead and post, actually, I'm going to put this in the description because we were talking about it, a place to donate to help with the hurricane. As far as I understand, this is reliable. It was an ad on Google directly at the top search result. I'm assuming if it was fake, it would be not. Do you agree with this statement?
I mean, I've heard of that organization before.
I've heard of Save the Children, so I'm assuming, okay, I thought so too. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the video description for you guys, anybody that's watching after the show, or anybody that's watching now, a place to donate to help with everything that's going on in Puerto Rico. I meant to do that before the stream because I knew we were talking about it, and I forgot. So anyway, but go ahead and continue.
Yeah. So Google still needs a telecom partner to deploy the service, and this part's a bit unclear. It looks like Google has, it just still doesn't have one. I imagine that maybe since T-Mobile has cellular service there, and T-Mobile and Google already have a working relationship through Project Fi,
that's probably,
I wouldn't be surprised if they are the ones that they end up going with, especially since T-Mobile had put in a ton of work as soon as they could on the rebuilding efforts for their network. I remember seeing pretty early on multiple cargo jets full of supplies and another one full of people had been sent to Puerto Rico to start rebuilding. T-Mobile is taking this very seriously.
Puerto Rico wasn't the only place that was hit either with hurricanes. There were other places too.
Yeah, this is just this one's getting a lot of focus because it's the highest population.
The highest population, and they got hit by 2.
Yes, and Maria literally went, like, the center of the storm went straight over their island, so they got hit with wind on all the parts where the major cities are at.
Yeah, right.
The major cities are out near the ends.
Yeah.
On the coast, and the center of the storm went through the middle, so the cities got hit with the strongest winds.
Right. Oh, man.
Now, this isn't the first place that Google has actively deployed Project Loon. They did it in both Indonesia and Sri Lanka previously to serve communities in both of those nations.
Yeah.
So it's a just all-around very good technology.
It's very cool. And I wanted to mention, the FCC approved this.
Yeah.
It's the first good thing FCC's done in forever.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that. They did something right.
At least since January.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, anyway, there's a link in the description. I want to mention that one more time to donate to help with all the stuff that's going on in Puerto Rico. Okay, so next topic. Blackberry Motion. So, yes, a new Blackberry, which is interesting. And you guys might be like, Blackberry, I didn't even know they're still around. Yes, they are. I'm going to be reviewing my Key One pretty soon. But
Blackberry branded.
Blackberry brand still exists. They don't make phones anymore. They designed the Key One, and TCL made it. And I'm assuming they had a pretty good play in the design of this one. But from what I've heard, it's not. It's TCL's design team went into it a lot too. But it's Blackberry branded.
So what you're saying is that BlackBerry started up a Pixel program? Or
essentially, a Nexus program, yeah. But, I mean, I will say, this is one of the nicest phones I've ever owned. I'm incredibly happy with my Key One. I will be making a review of it, and it is awesome and super unique. Anyway,
and there's your review.
Right.
He's just going to clip out this portion of the podcast.
And that's just upload, 12 seconds. Mm-hmm. That's my review.
That's all you need to know.
I mean, hey, unique is important, though. And, I mean, BlackBerry, like, what they've been doing with this goes along with what I feel a mid-range smartphone should grab. And realistically, you don't need the... I'll get into the specs, and then I'll explain what I was about to say. Okay, so, first things first. It's got a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, which sounds massive alone, but it's running a Snapdragon 625 and a 1080p display. I want to give you a heads up. I got a 3,500 milliamp hour in this, running a Snapdragon 625 and a 1080p, and it is incredible the difference that it makes in battery life, just dropping those two things down a little, versus like my Galaxy S8 Plus, for example, has a 1440p, and even though it's OLED, so it actually uses a little bit less power, and it's got a 3,500 milliamp hour, and it's got a Snapdragon 835.
Now, it
also isn't stock Android, which this is virtually stock Android.
If I could have this with a 4,000 milliamp hour battery,
it'd be like a 4 or 5 day battery.
Easily.
So Anyway, though, so, I mean, what I want to say is the battery life on this phone has been the best battery life of any phone I've ever owned, period, other than giant extended batteries that I put on phones. The Snapdragon 625 is extremely efficient, and it makes a massive difference there. Now, again, there's also not bloatware, so that, TouchWiz UI on top of Android still uses more power than stock Android. But to give you guys an example, I'm at 51% battery right now. It is 10:41 p.m. I took it off the charger at 7:30 a.m., so it's been well over 12 hours. And I listen to podcasts all day. I listen to music all day. I usually watch a couple of videos. I message people constantly all day, especially when I'm off work. Obviously, I'm on my phone a lot when I get home. And like my screen on time, as an example, for today. Let's see. Now, screen actually only used 3% of my battery today because, again, most of it was like YouTube used 17%. Like I was streaming a lot. But, I mean, my screen on time is an hour and a half. So we're approaching 2 hours, and I mean, all that, like, if I'm on Wi-Fi, and I'm just messaging, I'm not using YouTube and stuff like that, I'm pretty much just scrolling through the web and messaging, I can get 7 to 8 hours of screen on time on this. It's stupid. Yeah. So anyway, that's a 3,500 milliamp hour, the same specs and a 4,000 milliamp hour. This is approaching what might actually be a 2-day phone for normal use.
So the Droid Max.
Kinda, yeah. And so with the Snapdragon 625, I want to touch on that because some people are probably a little bit like, well, it's lower in processor. Why do I want that? Why do you need the 835 is the question I ask. I rarely feel this being slower. Once in a while when web browsing, it feels a little bit more sluggish. But when it comes to messaging and watching videos and everything, it doesn't slow down at all. Unless you game a really heavy amount on your phone, you don't need something more powerful than the 625 currently.
You don't need it.
You don't need it. Now, you might want it.
You buy a lot of things you don't need.
This is 100% true, but...
Let's be real. If we were talking about a computer hardware, you'd be buying the more expensive...
Okay, you are 100% correct. But also, I use that power to its full extent.
Even if you didn't.
Maybe. So, anyway, but yeah, so I just wanted to point that out. And sometimes loading a few apps and stuff, you do notice the slowdowns, but not significantly enough to be a huge deal in my eyes. So I wanted to point that out as the Snapdragon 625 is pretty impressive when it comes to a CPU, especially related to efficiency, is when it's amazing what Qualcomm can do when they're not pushing things as hard as possible for the best speeds, right? So no keyboard like the Key 1 has here. 1080p 5.5-inch display, so a pretty large display. 1080p also saving some battery there. Realistically, though, I mean, I like to see 1440 at that res, but for a phone that's not going to probably be very expensive, 1080p is fine. It's not like 1080p is not bad. It's just not the 1440 that we like to see on larger displays. Like 1080p on this little thing, 4.5 inches, totally fine. 4 gigs of RAM instead of 3 gigs like on the Key 1, so a little bit better with multitasking. Although I will say, even though this has 3 gigs instead of 4 gigs of RAM like my S8 Plus, this keeps more apps open in the background than the S8 Plus does. The S8 Plus has so much bloatware. It uses so much RAM from its OS that it will only keep a few things loaded, where I've had this have like 6 different things, 7 different things.
Samsung's TouchWiz software has also, just in my experience, always had problems with RAM management. It
doesn't seem to know how to close things out of RAM when they need to be.
It's overly aggressive in other times as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. What I mean is it either is overly aggressive, like you said, or it won't close things down enough to the point that you only have room for a couple to be open.
Yeah.
Now, it's got IP67 water resistance rating, which is the first Blackberry phone to have that. So, whoopee there. I would have loved to see that on the Key 1, but obviously, sealing up a keyboard's not easy. So that's actually a pretty premium feature. There's actually a lot of budget smartphones don't have that feature. It still has the convenience key, which is a separate key on the side, kind of like Samsung's Bixby button, except it's not garbage because you can remap it to literally anything on the phone. Very nice to have. I have mine for camera, but I mean, that's a pretty common one, but at least you can remap it to anything. It's running Android 7.1 Nougat, and it's only in the Middle East right now.
Correct.
So when it comes to America, if it does, probably will, I'm probably going to buy one and do a review of it.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I do love having a physical keyboard, absolutely, but also just better battery life is a huge thing for me.
What I would love to see is a flagship phone release with a 600 series Snapdragon chip. Maybe not the 625, maybe something like the rumored upcoming 670 which is supposed to be a 2 big core, 6 little core chip.
Yeah.
But like where the manufacturer just straight up says our chip isn't as powerful.
Well, you know the 625 is an octa-core though, right?
Yeah, but this is also an octa-core, but they're configured differently.
Oh,
yours is 4 big, 4 little. This is 2 big, 2 or 6 little.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense because that helps because having more little cores makes sense because one of those cores can say handle a messaging program that's going to allow you to do more things smoother at once.
Yeah, and like for most users, other than the camera, what do they do that uses the big cores?
Gaming, maybe, if they game.
Yeah.
That's it. Watching some videos.
Most users play like basic games.
Yeah, but most of those games, from what I have read, will still boot up into the bigger cores.
But that's just it. If we had more little cores, maybe they would.
Maybe they wouldn't need to. Yeah. And so I just wanted to mention something too. That I'm not necessarily like what I would call myself a fanboy, but I am definitely a fan of BlackBerry, and I'm glad that they finally switched over to Android when they did. They should have done it sooner so that they could have kept making their own hardware though. Now that they're having to go out to TCL, because like let's be realistic, they moved over and they made the BlackBerry Priv, and the keyboard was shit, and they were also using the Snapdragon 801, which was a terrible chipset. And that ruined it for them. It had inconsistent battery life. It got extremely hot sometimes, wouldn't get hot other times. Its battery life would be drained down really, really rapidly or go a whole day, no problem. It would be really slow, sometimes really fast. Like, that was just a terrible, terrible chipset. And then the keyboard was mushy. It did not have anywhere near the amount of like clickiness that this keyboard has, especially in the space bar. And I want to confirm it was running the 801 because it was supposed to be a premium smartphone, so they put the top-end thing in at the time. And I missed this phone. I actually had this phone, and I loved it, but it let me down. Where is it? 808. That's what it was. It was the 808, not the 801. Yeah. Terrible chipset. I meant to say 808. 801 was actually good. That's right. 808 was terrible, and it made me really sad because I wanted to love this phone so much because it was a full-size phone with a slide-up and a keyboard that hid under it. So, I mean, it was a 5.4-inch phone, curved screen. Loved the thing, but the space bar was so mushy, I actually wouldn't put spaces in words or sentences by accident sometimes. And people would be like, what the fuck are you saying?
Yeah.
Okay, last thing I want to mention about this phone.
Okay, because we only got 10 minutes and we've got multiple topics.
I know. We already got a few questions.
One really big topic.
Okay, so BlackBerry's, their skin for Android is literally stock, but a few actually potentially useful apps, most of which can be uninstalled, not just disabled.
So like Motorola's?
So like, well, not even as extensive as Motorola. The only things that you really find on here are the DTech security app and a couple of like privacy-based things like password keepers that you can uninstall. Okay. Not disable, but uninstall. Other than that, it is stock Android. Oh, and there's the BlackBerry launcher, but that they might get rid of that for this phone. Yeah. That's only so that you can use the keyboard shortcuts.
With Motorola's that I was talking about was more of like when I had a Motorola phone last, which was like...
Okay, because they've changed it. They do a little more now. Still basically stock.
Now that it's Lenovo, they do more.
Yeah.
But I was talking about like when it was just... When Motorola first switched to stock Android, and it was pretty much just... like some very basic improvements that are now part of stock Android.
Yep.
So, next topic though. I'll let you talk about this because you know more. T-Mobile.
Okay. Yeah, this will be quick. So T-Mobile, back at it again. We talk about them like every other podcast, I feel like now. Something major that they're doing. So T-Mobile has, a lot of people know, on all of their plans, you get international data for free. But it originally was limited to 128 kilobits per second. And it was moved up to 256 kilobits per second, which was actually a decent move at that point. Enough to do instant messaging, enough to maybe browse a little bit of the web. But basically, it was mostly just enough to keep you connected. That was the whole idea. Like, you're not going to be watching videos or anything, obviously. But maybe, you could listen to a little bit of music with that. You could message your friends. Maybe listen to an ebook or something, right?
Yeah.
Well, T-Mobile said, you know what, that's not good enough, even though it's already better than everybody else. So, all of their plans now have a 5 gigabyte LTE cap on international data at no extra charge. Now, this is the original article from Pocket Now, and, so it's just, so basically, let's see. I'm reading here, I want to make sure that I got all the data correct. Yeah, so foreign high-speed data usage. Okay, let's see. It doesn't say anything about whether or not it's just Canada and Mexico, or if it includes like the UK and stuff.
No, so it's so it used to be Mexico and Canada had those.
Had the 5 gigabytes.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Now this is international. So yeah, that's right. Okay. Sorry, I'd forgotten that. So yeah, 5 gigabytes used to be for Mexico and Canada is what you got. They expanded that internationally rather than just doing the 256 kilobits.
Yes.
So if you are on an unlimited plan, it acts as a normal data. You just have a cap and then it slows you down. If you're on a limited plan, it counts towards your data cap. Now, we know T-Mobile has gotten rid of limited plans, but if you're grandfathered into one, you might still have one. So just keep that in mind. But this is super cool, meaning everywhere in the world that T-Mobile has service, you get LTE. So if you travel, if you're the kind of person that travels once or twice a year, this is probably enough data for you. And I mean, because remember, that's 5 gigabytes per month.
Actually, I think this is not what you were understanding.
Is it not? Did I read it wrong?
Yeah, so they had actual unlimited data in Mexico and Canada, and the only difference here is that they're capping it at 5 gigs.
Really?
Yep, this is actually not good.
I thought I read another article.
Unless this article is just worded poorly.
I may have misunderstood this. I thought that was the source that I chose.
Yeah, T-Mobile implements 5 gigabyte data cap in Canada and Mexico.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. That was really dumb on my part. Wow. That article wasn't worded very well, though, to my defense. No, it was not. It was not worded very well. Okay, never mind. They used to be unlimited in Canada and Mexico. Now it's a 5 gigabyte cap.
It seems like this was happening because of people that were abusing it.
People up there were probably just using a bunch of data, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Not the end of the world, though, because realistically, 5 gigabytes a month is still more than what most people use.
Yeah.
So realistically, even if you travel a lot, you're probably fine. But yeah. Okay. So, oops.
Yep.
I'm sorry, guys. Again, this is why the planets are turned sideways. It's the dumbest episode of WordCast ever, right?
Next, and probably last topic, since I don't think we're going to talk about YouTube monetization stuff, is the Google Home Mini. So at Google's event last week on the 4th, what was that, 7 days ago? Yeah.
Yeah.
They announced the Google Home Mini. We talked about it in the WordCast that week. And reviewers got to take their Google Home Minis home from the event. And one reviewer from Android Police had just a bunch of problems with his. It was randomly activating things. It was randomly doing things like he was playing Spotify and the Home Mini just took it over. And he couldn't figure out what was going on. Eventually, he looked into his Google account activity, which for those that don't know, you can pull up pretty much anything that your Google account
anything that you search, yeah. Like Google gives you access. That's like something I really like about Google, to everything that happens related to your Google account.
And you can delete.
And you can get rid of stuff, yes.
So he pulled up the information and saw that the Google Home Mini was activating over and over and over and over again. Literally sometimes like 4 or 5 times a minute. It was not something that really many other people reported. And he was the first one to really figure out what happened. He immediately emailed his contact at Google, and within like 10 minutes he got a response. He responded to them a while later, and then like literally on a Friday night at 7 o'clock at night, Google sent engineers to his house to pick up a Home Mini from him to figure out what was going on. He wasn't home, so they came back at like 9 o'clock at night. And all in all, they did finally figure out what was wrong. It turns out, so the Google Home Mini had this functionality where you could do like a long press on it to activate it to start a voice command without having to say, "Okay, Google."
You just triggered everybody.
Yep, triggered.
Triggered.
If they have their phone set up correctly, it shouldn't because it's supposed to be voice trained. That being said, the Home Mini would just trigger, like the touch sensor was just not functioning correctly on his unit and the couple others that they found this on. And so it was just constantly triggering the wake functionality. And the problem is that with Google Assistant, in order for the search queries to work, it has to send the recording of the voice to Google. And so it was literally just actively recording most
It was
of
just
the day.
giving Google everything.
Yes, it was sending multiple recordings a minute to Google.
Yeah. Which also, realistically, if all Google Homes had that problem, it wouldn't be good on Google's servers.
No. No.
Because, Google's server scalability, I'm sure, is partially counting on the fact that not every Google Home will be asking questions every minute.
But yeah, so with this, essentially because of all of these problems, once Google finally figured it out, initially they had just released a patch to temporarily disable the touch functionality while they worked to figure out a fix, and that was as of yesterday. And as of today, they have decided that that entire feature of touch functionality is just gone. They are not bringing it back. It is permanently disabled.
Yep.
Ultimately, it seems like it was a hardware defect causing the problem, but it's one that it seems like they couldn't isolate fast enough to deal with the device's shipping, and it sounds like it might not be something they think they can fix. So rather than having some home minis support it and some not, they're just scrapping it.
And I think at least they're taking a really strong response here. I appreciate it. It's got to be a hardware thing. Mm-hmm. So,
but this shows that like a lot of people
Google cares
talk about how like Google's like, oh, they want to spy on you. They're just trying to get mics in your home or with
the thing is
Google
they always
Clips.
ask permission for that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, like Google Photos, for example, it can analyze all your photos, which of course Google wants to determine what it would consider a good photo and what's not, and to do things for you. When you first load up the Google Photos app, you give it permission to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, this is very quick work. I mean, we're looking at a matter of...
I have some quick work to talk about once you're done with that, by the way.
We're looking at a matter of, like, this whole thing was figured... So he got the home on the 4th. He figured out the issue on Friday the 6th. Friday, that night, they had sent out a rep. Saturday, they initially responded. Sunday, he got further clarification that it was phantom touch events. Monday, he followed up with more questions. Tuesday, the patch was released to disable the functionality temporarily, and as of today, it is gone. So literally within a week of him getting the product, less than a week of him figuring out there was an issue, Google collected the device, researched it, figured out the problem, released a patch, disabled it, came to a further conclusion to permanently disable
it. Pretty fast.
Yeah. It's... Honestly, this makes me more comfortable, because I am getting 2 Google Home Minis. This makes me more comfortable with having something like this to show that when they see a problem like this, they instantly deal with it. Now, that being said, like, if this got to users before being figured out and we called into Google, it wouldn't have been fixed that quick, because it's impossible for a company as big as Google to have their customer service line have a direct line to engineers like their press line would.
Yeah, right.
That being said, this is something that, like, in the case of having someone like Android Police in the community, you could just send the information to them, they would figure it out, they would send it to Google, and it would get dealt with almost as quickly.
Yeah.
So there are ways to get this to Google, and it's just a matter of getting the right people to hear about it, and they will fix it immediately.
Yes. So I have one last topic I want to talk about. It's a little bit of a quicker one, but it was one I wanted to mention. So Discuss got hacked, okay?
Oh, yeah.
That happened a while ago. Back in 2012 is actually when the data breach happened, but they were unaware of it as far as we understand. So Discuss, DISQUS. They are a common, like, blogging enhancement that allows people to, like, log into their Discuss to chat on blogs. And comment on blogs and stuff like that, or even various websites, not just blogs. But so Discuss is they're a pretty viable platform. A lot of people use them. They're actually pretty cool. Well, they actually had one of the most impressive turnaround times on a data breach in history. The security researcher, I can't remember his name, and I'm not seeing it in the article. I apologize, but he was blown away by how fast they responded. So he discovered the issue. And then on October 5th at 4:18 p.m., revealed to them that 17.5 million user accounts and passwords were stolen, and all the data for those accounts, basically, which could potentially include credit cards if it was people that was using Discuss on their platform. Right now, you don't give them a credit card if you just have a Discuss account, but if you're using them on your website. So anyway, so that's at 4:18 p.m. Same day, October 5th, at 4:56 p.m., they obtained the exposed data and immediately began to analyze the data and verify its validity. So, like 40 minutes later, they're already, less than 40 minutes later, they're already collecting and looking into this, okay? October 6th, it doesn't give a time frame, so in the morning, I'm assuming, they started contacting users and resetting the passwords of all the users that had passwords included in the breach. And then by 4 p.m. on October 6th, so less than 24 hours later, they published a public statement saying exactly what happened, exactly why, what was wrong with their, I'm not going to get into all the details, but what was wrong, the reason that the passwords were able to be stolen, and that it was their fault and they were sorry and to reset your passwords. This is how every company, Equifax, should respond to this kind of stuff.
I thought that we were supposed to sell off our stock and then hide it for another month, and then reveal it.
Well, or you could pull a Yahoo and tell people that it was 100 million, then be like, no, it was actually 700 million. No, it was 1 billion.
No, it was
3 years later. No, it was literally everybody that has a Yahoo account. Yeah. 3 billion users.
3 billion.
We thought
accounts,
Equifax,
not users.
Okay, yeah, but we thought Equifax was the biggest breach in history.
It was
and then Equifax was like 143 million. Actually, came out to be like 148. They released a little bit more later, and then it's like, dang, that's so many people. And Yahoo's like 3 billion accounts. But anyway, so this is how a company should respond, and I want to discuss props for that. This is impressive. When a data breach happens, this is exactly the steps that should be taken. There should be a public statement within 72 hours is the ideal time frame. They had a public statement in less than 24, and we're working on fixing it less than an hour after it was disclosed. They responded to the researcher instantly, basically. Yeah. So this is really cool, and I just want to say props to them as a company for doing the right thing when it comes to security. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has data breaches. I mean, it can happen to anybody.
It's going to happen to every
company.
It's
going to happen to basically every company. I've only not seen it happen to Google yet. It's happened to Google partners, or not partners, but people's Google account info has been stolen by third-party websites that hold that account information to log them in through Google. But Google themselves, I've never heard of them getting attacked. But it happens to everyone. Yeah, with
how much info they collect, they probably spend a significant amount of money on always changing their security.
Well, yeah, not only that, they probably monitor closer than anybody. Yeah. Like, they probably would notice, like, oh, somebody's username was copied and it wasn't supposed to be. Everybody, all hands on deck, Yeah. Anyway, so this is the way, though, that virtually every company is going to have a data breach at some point. It's a matter of when, not if. And I'm really impressed that Discuss responded this quickly and fixed it this quickly and released a public statement that had no bullshit. It was, this is how many people were affected. It was our fault. This is why. Here's how you fix it.
And they posted the timeline publicly.
Exactly. And they posted the timeline of how long it took them to solve this. And this was verified by the security researcher.
They posted, like, look, I'm looking at the just straight post from Discuss.
Yeah.
They posted, like, a lot of details. It's like, we know that a snapshot of our user database from 2012, including information dating back to 2007, was exposed. Yep. The snapshot included email addresses, usernames, sign-up dates, and login. Last login dates in plain text for 17.5 million users. Additionally, passwords not in plain text, hashed in SHA.
Yeah. So basically,
like, they included like every
single detail that you could need to know about this. They included with timestamps, and they fixed it immediately.
Yes.
This really impresses me because no companies do this. It seems they get hacked. They wait long to disclose it. A lot of companies do actually start working on a fix and working on password resets pretty quickly, usually within 2 days, but not within an hour, but usually within a day or two. But a lot of them don't release a statement for sometimes a week or two, and when they do, it's oftentimes a kind of bullshit like, well, it was only this many users, we think, and it wasn't really our fault, and then they release another one a month later. Well, actually, it was this many users, and it was our fault, but not really. We want to try and shove that blame. And Discuss was just like, yeah, we made a mistake. We're sorry. This is what happened. We fixed it. Here you go. And just again, this really impresses me. So great to them. But that is the end of the podcast because I have work tomorrow.
Yeah.
So anyway, everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you everybody that supports the channel. We appreciate it. And again, sorry that I didn't have a video out on Monday and Tuesday this week. I feel a little bit lame for that, but I did have one out this morning, and I'm just going to keep pushing and pushing. I work basically as much as I can. I take time off on Wednesdays to do this, and then I take time off of doing work on WordTech, obviously for my day job, and on Saturdays I usually don't spend the whole day working. I usually do some of it, but it's just like every day I'm filming, I'm editing, I'm doing as much as I can, and so I'm getting them out as quick as I can.
Yeah, you're doing good.
I'm trying.
You're not going to hit every video every week.
It's true. The goal is to eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, in fact, though, the goal is to eventually have my same schedule, except have a quality video, not just a small video out 5 days a week.
Even people with teams don't hit every video every week.
That's true. Other than Linus Tech Tips.
For one, they record their videos a week in advance because they have...
Or sometimes 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, but because they have the early access platform, it's kind of different because, let's be real.
Yeah, that's true.
There are times when they miss the video on the early access platform and get that out the next day. But it looks like they hit everything on YouTube because they have a week buffer.
Because they have a week buffer, yeah. So, anyway, I'm doing the best I can. You guys should see a video from Mirko this Friday. He's going to be doing, I believe, something related to an SSD, so that'll be interesting. And you should see a Tech News Roundup from me tomorrow evening. But thank you again, everybody, for watching. Goodbye.
Bye.
And thank you, Joe and Alien Technology, who are always here to help out. And thank you, Felipe, for your important food question of the week. That was a good one. I like that. It sparked discussion. That's all that really matters about the food question. It needs to spark discussion. It doesn't have to be an argument.
It needs to spark discussion about how you put your bacon and eggs on the burger.
No, you don't. You put the bacon on the burger. Eggs are separate, and you have to put salt and pepper on them. And they have to be over easy.
When we go to Fatheads, you're going to get an item with an egg on it.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you what to order.
Okay.
You're going to love it.
We're not going to tell me what to order. You're going to tell me I have to have an egg on it.
No, I'm going to tell you what to order. Because you're going to love it.
Oh, okay. All right, guys. So thank you for watching. But yeah, we'll see you guys.